Welcome parents and carers to the English Language and English Literature GCSE PowerPoint. We are doing this as you have been informed because you can't come and visit us in person, and I must express how sorry I am not to see you in my classroom. I am Mrs. Brackner. I am the Assistant Team Leader for English, and I am going to be taking you over this PowerPoint. And in the end, if you have got any questions, any queries, you will find on the last slide my email address. First of all, the first slide is where I wanted to make you aware that our GCSE exams are going to happen according to the government so far. The only allowance that we have got from the government is that these dates that you can see in purple have been pushed back by 3 weeks. So in the eyes of the government, this should give us extra 3 weeks in terms of preparation and revision. We are keeping our eye on the changing landscape in terms of the GCSE exams. Any change is going to happen, we will immediately going to email you and write you a letter. First of all, I'd like to explain to you the English language component. Now, probably you are aware that in English we are doing 2 GCSEs. One of them is literature. And in both sides of the slide, you can see the components that build up this exam. Component 1 in pink will have 3 sections to it. Section A, which will be Shakespeare and Macbeth. So far, we haven't studied this because when lockdown happened in year 10, we were just beginning to do Macbeth, but we decided not to do this through remote teaching. It is a quite complicated text. We wanted to be in the classroom with the learners to help them. So what is going to happen? We have rejigged the entire year 11 way how we are doing things, and we are going to begin teaching Macbeth after January. We have decided to do this because by then, hopefully, the landscape, all the changes that are happening in the school will be implemented, the learners will be getting used to it, and we can begin to work on a hard text. And we also did this because this will be kind of closer to the exams, so learners will be able to retain the quotes, the analysis of this difficult text. As you can see, section B is 20% of component 1. And this will be about poetry, and this is the poetry component to the present day, and we are going to be looking at this from the anthology. In the anthology there are 16 poems. We have begun to study these poems through year 10. We are doing these in chunks of 3. We have been giving out everybody a digital version of it, of the anthology, and as well as a free version in the classroom to be used. Once we begin to be doing revision on poetry, I have got a fully annotated version for the learners that will be printed. This will be given to them because sometimes during the two years they might be finding it that that they have missed a poem here and there. However, we will be addressing all these issues and gaps through the use of revision as well. Section C will be unseen poetry. This is what our learners find the most scary. They are going to have 2 poems that they have never seen before, and they're going to have an hour to annotate both and write a comparative essay. Because we know this is our hardest part of the GCSE in literature, we are going to be very careful in terms of doing the revision on this component. The second component, component 2, is taking of 2 parts. As you can see, section A and section B. This is both involving books. One of them is The Woman in Black. The other one will be the Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Now, I have colored this green and showed an arrow to the subtitle because this is the part that government have allowed us to drop. What happened? They figured that the literature curriculum is so intense in terms of the amount of hours that we need to teach it and the difficulty level that they allowed the English teachers to drop one of the components. We could have chosen between the poetry section or the strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We have chosen Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde simply because this text is a Victorian text. Though it's short, it is absolutely taking up about 7 to 8 weeks to teach, and the language in there is very difficult for our learners. And the other reason was that we have already begun to teach the anthology poetry in Year 10, as I just explained a minute ago. So this is the one that we are not going to learn, and this is the kind of help that the government has provided. The literature revision websites and tools are on this slide. Now, I know that our learners are really scared about literature or English revision as a whole, and I am doing sessions with them in the lessons, and we'll be carrying on doing sessions later on from February onwards on revision. Now, to get the technique perfectly right is probably what I need to teach the children in the classroom. On this slide, you will find loads of ideas where you can help your child, or your child can help themselves to do revision. In the corner, you see 20 minutes. I put that little picture up there as a reminder because, in my opinion, a revision needs to be short but intense and focused. I don't agree with revision where learners sit down an hour, 2 hours, and they get tired, they watch television in between. What I would always ask my learners in the classroom as well, do short but very focused revision. In order to help them, I have already shared loads of ideas, but I'm going to talk you through it as well. YouTube is on their fingertips, it's on their phones, on their laptops. YouTube is not only good for entertainment, watching videos, listening music. YouTube is riddled with English teacher-made videos. There's some of them, you can find the links there to any book. The analysis of Macbeth is on it, the analysis of every single poem in our anthologies. So if they get stuck in a short 5-minute video, an actual teacher can take them through it. They can stop the video, they can listen to it, make notes, take their time. There is Spark Notes. Spark Notes is a website that is every single GCSE text is on there. You just need to type the title in. It will give you the analysis, the background knowledge, the character analysis, everything you need to know. Now, I also know that our learners are reluctant readers. Most of them are anyway. Therefore, I am not going to ask them to reread the book of The Woman in Black by the time we get to the GCSE. I am going to do revision on it anyway. We are all in the classrooms. But I have put a picture of audiobooks.com there to you, or YouTube, because every single book that we study for GCSE is freely available on these websites to listen to. So what your child might be able to do, that 5 minutes a day, listens to a chapter, makes some notes, revision done. This is why I have put the 20 minutes, 10 minutes, because it needs to be intense but very short. The tools of revision are also very important. Highlighters and sticky notes are part of our lives in the English classroom. Highlighting the text, finding the relevant quotes, making some notes in the book. If they don't want to write inside the book, they can use sticky notes. Colors could be corresponding to, for example, the pink to problems, the green to something where they are finding themselves successful, the orange is somewhere in the middle. So clever revision is what I am trying to teach your sons and daughters in the classroom, and clever revision is the way forward in my eyes. What else we are doing in the classroom to help with revision? We are making knowledge organizers. These are an A4 sheet of paper with very condensed information about the literature components, the language components. We have got printed revision booklets ready to be given out about poetry, about Macbeth, about language analysis, about the writing tasks. I haven't given these out yet because I don't want the learners to feel overwhelmed by the amount of revision booklets that I am giving them in one go. What I am planning to do from about February onwards, when we begin to look back on every component, if we are working on writing, I'm going to give them the writing booklets, and then they can follow that in the classroom. They can take it home and use it for home revision too. Rereading text or listening them in audiobooks is part of our revision. I would really encourage our learners to do that and begin to do it now, because there's never a better time than now. Using YouTube, as I explained, is vital. SparkNotes, BBC, Bite Size are all fantastic places where learners find easy way of revision and entertaining way of revision. Free audiobooks, have the right tools, and revise little but often. And this is not just for literature really, this is for language as well. If you have got any further question about our revision approach, then I will be happy to answer any of that. What I would also like you to know that after February half term, we will be finishing the curriculum in literature as well as language. And I have put down this time from then onwards all the way till the exams in May to use every single lesson, which is 4 lessons a week, for revision. I am making a calendar week by week that will be shared with the learners. It will be emailed to yourselves as well, and it will be put out in the classrooms. So we can all together follow what are we doing in each week, what are we looking back on, and what kind of revision is what we are doing and how it links to the GCSEs. So we will have a lot of time during class hours as well to go back on everything. This is the language component of the exam, and I would really like to talk through it, what is happening here. As you can see, component 1, both components are assessing reading and writing skills, but they are different reading and writing skills. Component 1, reading paper, is the easier paper. In here, there will be a 20th century text, easy, they will be able to read it. There will be 5 questions, 1 hour to answer them. The questions start from really low ability to a little bit more complicated, all the way to question 5, where they will not only have to be dealing with a problematic question, but by then they're kind of running out of time. So my focus in terms of the preparation in the classroom are all of these components and the correct timings. On component 1, prose writing means story writing, narrative writing. What we are doing in the classroom to prepare for this, what I don't know is what tasks are we going to be given. What usually happens, there are 4 titles that the exam board provides to the learners. They need to pick one. They have got 45 minutes and they have to write a story. Now, you probably realize that 45 minutes is a very short time to come up with a proper story, with a beginning, with a middle, with an end, with characters. So in order to help them, we have already done a story with my help, with my planning in the classroom. This story is not yet finished. What I am doing with them, I am looking back on them, I'm giving them feedback, and then I give it back to the learners. Based on my feedback, they're going to improve their current work. What is the thinking behind this? That they will have a story in their heads. So by the time they go into the exam hall, they will have a complete story in their head. And as you know, you can twist, in inverted commas, any story to any title. And I will also teach the learners how to do this. So they will not be unprepared when they move into this part of the exam. To talk about component 2, this is, as you can see, 60% of the qualification, and this is where a little bit more harder questions are coming. The reading section contains now of 2 extracts. If your child has got a reader, the reader won't be able to help them here because the reading part of the exam is measuring the reading ability of the learner. What is good about here, because the answers don't have to be grammatically correct. If they make mistakes in their spelling, punctuation, or grammar, the learners are not going to lose any marks. So that's a positivity. But you can imagine this is a long 2 texts. Read, find all the answers, highlight the quotes, and compare them. And unfortunately, one of the texts is a Victorian text, as you can see, a 19th century text. And this is where sometimes problems happen, vocabulary issues that learners haven't met with. So In our preparations in the classroom, we are dealing with all the anticipated problems that this section of component 2 can bring us. Section B is a writing task, but it won't be story writing like it was in component 1. This will be 2 text, and it will be transactional or persuasive writing. What does that mean? The exam board will be picking 2 tasks out of 7 potential tasks. They could be asked to write formal letters, informal letters, reviews, reports, speech, leaflets. So out of these will be 2 picked. This is what we are currently working on in the classroom, and this is why we are doing live lessons. I am teaching the learners how to avoid the pitfalls, what is it that they mustn't do, what is it that they must be doing, and I am supporting this with handouts and with knowledge organizers and starter activities. During the language assessment that the learners have done, we have completed component 1, section A, the reading section. During this time, through the marking, we identified problems of language analysis. So in the lessons, as part of starter activities, doing our activities, we are working on fixing up these problems every single lesson. So we are keeping the gaps, kind of trying to close them. Revision in school. So this is a kind of a bullet pointed list of where and how we are supporting your children in our classes. So we are supporting the preparation to the language exam by working on language analysis. We are doing small group of interventions. What does that mean? Mrs. Saunders and Mrs. Locker, there are 2 specialist LSMs who are working with the English team, have got specialist time allocated where I identify learners who need this revision. This group is working in 2, 3, maximum 5 learners at one time, and this is rotated. So every learner that where I see they need a little bit of push, they would benefit from it, they will be getting intervention. For the top set learners, we are also using the teachers. We have got 1 lesson a week where we are pushing them to achieve the absolute best. Learners are also going to be sent daily chunked revision activities during holidays. So when the Christmas holiday going to come, like I did it through the autumn holiday, I will be giving them directed small chunked tasks with modeling examples, videos from YouTube for 15-20 minutes a day. Because as I explained it to you previously, it is very important that they do little but often. All learners will receive booklets to support. I've talked to you about it already. After the winter break, learners will get revision work for the weekend. This is what we always do. This revision work will also be maximum of half an hour. I will never expect the learners to do more than that because they also need to have their relaxed time. And after February half term, we are moving into the revision phase where the class time will be used purely for revision. On the link on this slide, you will find another YouTube link to Mr. Brough. Mr. Brough is a fantastic, energetic, enthusiastic English teacher, and he has made 5 to maximum 10 minutes videos on every subject, every part of the language question, all the way through to the writing, through literature. So if you find that your son or daughter is struggling to access ideas of how to do English revision, please direct them towards this link. It's absolutely lovely, and it is not taking much time. Most of you have purchased these revision books from last year when your children were in year 10. And I know that because I collated the list, and virtually all of year 10s have purchased these. Please ask your children to find these. You can see there's one of a revision book, the one in the middle, the darker colored one, the GCSE English language. That is the explanation. So if they get stuck in the workbook, they will be able to find the answers in the English language revision book. If you feel that you didn't buy one of these, I have got few limited copies that I can sell. So if you would like me to do that, we can put it on Parent Pay. I think they cost about £2.80, so they're not big price. So if you feel that you want one and you don't have one already, please get in touch with me. I will be able to. Through the reports, you will be able to see that instead of a grade, your daughter or your son will have a novice, a deliberate practice, independent practice, or expert categorization. In these descriptors underneath at the bottom of the slide, you will find what those mean. At the moment, we are really reluctant to put them in categories of grades. We have had 6 months off. We're just getting used to lessons and working hard again. So our head teacher decided that this is how we are going to help our learners to see where they are on the learning journey. This is how we call the arrow, the learning journey, and what it is that they as learners and you as a parent can do. So please take a good look at this. If you've got any confusion over this, please get in. What do we expect from our learners to do? I'd really like them to focus and work hard while they are in the lesson. It is 4 hours a week. They get home tired, they get home late. I can't expect them to do revision during the week. And I would really like them to take up the opportunity to work as hard as they possibly can in every lesson. They have to follow teacher advice and on revision. I would really like them, if they are at home isolating, that log on to the live lessons, take part in there, email me, ask questions, be proactive in their preparations. I don't want them to be worried. I don't want to put extra pressure on anybody. Hence, I am standing by with the rest of the English department to help with any needs and have the right tools. Currently in the classroom, we can't really give out highlighters handled by one learner in one lesson and the next learner in the next lesson. So it's really important that they have got a set of colored highlighters with them, or colored pens at least, and a pen that they can work with, and make sure that they are prepared to what is happening in the lesson. I can't really give out equipment in these times. How can you help? Now, I'm sure that you are as apprehensive as I am, and you are just as driven to help as we are at the JCB Academy in the English department to get our learners, your daughters and sons, to where they must be by the end of the year in order to build for their future. So we would like you to encourage your children to talk to you, ask them questions. What happened in the school? What was that successful today? Because we really need to celebrate successes. How it is that you think you can help? Where are your problems? Let me email your teacher. Is there anything that we can do together? Because really we're in a triangle. You as parents at home, I as a teacher in the classroom, and your sons and daughters who are sitting in front of me, and we need to be able to work together for the common goal to get the learners where they must be. I also sent out revision timetables to the learners before the autumn break on Google Classroom, and I think some of them actually got some on print. Now, I know that we all have different tactics and different ways of doing revision and doing work, but I found this when my daughter was doing year 11 and year 13, that revision timetable is very helpful, not just to record when they have to work, but actually to record when they have their downtime. And it is so liberating when you've done your little bit of revision, you tick it off and you've got your afternoon in front of you to enjoy it with the family. And color coding these timetables is also very helpful. The red ones might be the urgent work that they need to do, or the problematic work. The green ones are the ones where they're confident, they don't really need to spend some time on there. It is visual for them, and it's also visual for you maybe, if you want to peek on it of what happened, what you've done, and it's a good habit to get into for further education. So these are the things that you as a parent could help us in the school with and your sons and daughters, of course. This is the last one now. I've been going on for a while. I'm sorry about this, but it is really important that I can tell you about everything I can. How to get in touch. You will find all the 4 members of staff's email in there who are teaching year 11s. And Mrs. Silito and myself, Mrs. Bracknell, are the 2 people who are in charge of the department, the preparation, the curriculum. So if you have got any questions to us about revision, about class time, about anything, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. Or if you would like us to ring you back, you could just email or leave a message at reception, and we are happy to do that. I hope I managed to shed some light on what we are doing and how are we going to move forward and how are we going to help our learners to get where they need to be. We are very passionate about what we are doing, and I'm sure that we will all together be there. Thank you for your attention.